I need the curved forceps now.
Forceps. Vitals holding steady at 90/60.
Everything is gonna be okay, Mija. I love you so much.
The room was quiet, too quiet for a place filled with over 100 people. Rows of folding chairs lined the school auditorium, filled with parents, teachers, and a few restless children. A projector screen stood behind the podium, and in Carla's trembling hands, she held a single photograph. It was a picture of her daughter, Lily, taken just a few months before everything changed. The image wasn't dramatic. Lily sat at the kitchen table, drawing something with a pink crayon, her head tilted slightly, eyes full of mischief, and a crooked little smile on her face. At first glance, it looked like a moment any mother would cherish. But Carla had learned to see it differently. She stepped up to the microphone, her heels clicking softly against the wooden stage. She took a breath, slow, steady. Her fingers tightened around the photo's edge. "Thank you for being here tonight," she began, her voice soft, almost too soft for the mic to pick up. "I want to show you something. Just one picture." One moment. She held the photo up, and the image appeared on the screen behind her. A soft murmur passed through the audience. To them, it was just a little girl with a sweet face, coloring at the kitchen table. Nothing seemed out of place. But Carla knew what they were missing. "This was taken 3 months before we lost her," Carla said. "And no, I didn't realize anything was wrong when I took it either. Not then." Her eyes scanned the room. She knew many of them had children the same age Lily had been, 9 years old, 4th grade. That magical time when kids were old enough to ask big questions but still young enough to believe in fairies. That had been Lily all over. "You see that smile?" she said, pointing toward the screen. "It's just a little uneven. The right side of her mouth pulls higher than the left. That day, I thought it was cute. I remember laughing and saying, 'You look like a little pirate, Lily.' And she laughed too. We both laughed. But I didn't know that was the first sign. The only sign." She paused, letting the words settle. "I want to tell you a story. It's not a story about death. Not really. It's a story about how easy it is to miss something important. It's about what happens when a tiny warning whispers, and no one listens. Not because they don't care, but because the world keeps telling them it's probably nothing." A cough echoed in the back row. Carla ignored it. "I used to be like many of you, a working mom, tired juggling dinner and deadlines. When Lily told me her cheek hurt a little, I told her we'd check it out next week. I told her not to worry. I told myself not to worry. Because that's what we do, right? We reassure ourselves. We tell ourselves kids complain about little things all the time. They grow out of it. They're fine." Carla placed the photograph gently on the podium. "But sometimes," she said, voice tightening, "they're not." Someone in the audience shifted uncomfortably. A father leaned over and whispered something to the woman beside him. Carla noticed, but didn't let it break her rhythm. "When we finally went to the doctor, they said it might be a cavity, then maybe an abscess. Antibiotics, wait and see. Insurance delays, referral approvals, more waiting." Meanwhile, my daughter's face was changing, subtly, quietly, and I kept believing what the experts told me. Carla took a step closer to the edge of the stage, lowering her voice. By the time we knew the truth, it was too late to save her face, and eventually, too late to save her life. There was a long silence. "Her name was Lily Grace Caldwell," she said, her voice steady now. "She was 9 years old when she died from rhabdomyosarcoma, a rare and aggressive soft tissue cancer, and she died with that same crooked smile on her face. I like to believe she was still trying to make me laugh even at the end." Someone in the front row wiped away a tear. "That's why I created Lily's Light," she said, gesturing toward the banner beside the stage, "to raise awareness, to educate parents and doctors and teachers that sometimes, when a child says something hurts, it really does, and we can't afford to wait." Carla looked at the image one last time. The little girl with the uneven grin stared back from the screen. I keep this photo with me everywhere I go, she said. Because when people ask me what rhabdomyosarcoma looks like, I don't show them medical charts or MRI scans. I show them this. She reached for the microphone, her fingers gentle but sure. Because sometimes, she whispered, the biggest battles hide in the smallest details. And sometimes, the only warning we get is a smile that looks just a little off. The room held its breath. Snow dusted the rooftops like powdered sugar, and a soft gray sky hung low over the sleepy Illinois suburb where the Caldwells lived. Inside their modest two-story house, the warmth of cinnamon and vanilla lingered in the air, escaping from the kitchen where Carla was baking Lily's favorite oatmeal cookies. The radio played faint Christmas music even though it was still November, and Lily had insisted weeks ago that it was emotionally winter, which apparently justified early decorations. The living room glowed with the yellow light of a floor lamp and the soft flicker of the fireplace. A string of colored lights blinked lazily along the mantel. On the rug, Ben sat cross-legged, building a Lego spaceship with the focus of an engineer. Lily knelt beside him, adding mismatched pieces where they didn't belong, just to annoy him. Lily, that's a shield generator, not a unicorn horn. Ben huffed. But it looks like a unicorn horn, she said, grinning. Mark, sitting nearby with a mug of tea and a laptop balanced on one knee, chuckled without looking up. Creative input, Ben. She's just improving the design. Ben muttered something about sabotage, but didn't remove the horn. Carla stepped into the room with a tray of warm cookies, setting them on the coffee table, fresh from the oven. But if anyone eats more than 2 before dinner, I'm revoking holiday movie night. Lily's eyes widened. You wouldn't? Oh, I would, Carla said, hands on hips. Lily grabbed one cookie and held it in both hands like it was treasure. Best, Mom, ever. Carla smiled and sat beside Mark, curling her legs underneath her. For a few moments, everything felt suspended in that golden glow of family and familiarity. It was a kind of joy that didn't shout. It hummed, low and constant, like the purr of a well-loved cat. Do we have to go to Grandma's for Thanksgiving? Ben asked between bites. You love Grandma's, Carla said. I love Grandma. I don't love green bean casserole. Lily laughed. It's like eating swamp. Don't let her hear you say that, Mark warned. She'll make extra just to spite you. Great, Ben said. Swamp for everyone. Carla leaned her head on Mark's shoulder. He wrapped an arm around her without looking away from the screen. Can we watch the animated Grinch tonight? She asked. We've seen that like 20 times, Ben groaned. And we'll watch it 20 more, Carla said. It's tradition. Lily nodded seriously. We believe in Grinch justice in this house. The clock ticked quietly in the background, a soft, steady rhythm to their evening. Outside, the first real snow of the season began to fall, lazy and slow, brushing the windows like a whisper. Inside, time stretched long and safe, a bubble they didn't know was already thinning. Later, after dinner, after Lily begged for one more cookie, and then brushed her teeth with exaggerated fury, Carla tucked her daughter into bed. The room was a world of its own, walls covered in posters of cartoon animals and constellations, a shelf lined with stuffed toys, and a glow-in-the-dark moon stuck to the ceiling. Tell me a story, Lily said, wriggling under the covers. Didn't I tell you one last night? You did, but I want a different one. One with a talking rabbit and a sad queen who finds her crown in the dirt. Carla raised an eyebrow. That's oddly specific. It came to me in a dream. Of course it did. Carla smoothed Lily's hair, then began to spin a story, soft and slow, about a forgotten kingdom, a rabbit who talked in riddles, and a queen who had to learn that crowns weren't always shiny to be real. As she spoke, Lily's eyes grew heavier, her breathing slower, but before sleep pulled her under completely, she asked, Mom, when I grow up, can I be a vet and also an astronaut? Absolutely, Carla whispered. You'll be the first person to take care of cats in space. Lily smiled, and that smile, full, innocent, slightly tilted to the right, was the last thing Carla saw before turning off the light. Downstairs, Mark was finishing up a late work email. Carla sat beside him, rubbing her temples. She's been rubbing her cheek lately, she said quietly. I think she might be getting another molar. Mark didn't look up. Is she in pain? Not really. Just a little sensitive, maybe. She said it hurts when she eats crackers. Could be nothing. Kids are dramatic about tiny things. Remember when Ben thought he had appendicitis because he sneezed too hard? Carla chuckled. I just don't want to overlook something. You're not, he said, reaching for her hand. You're the most attentive mom on the planet. She smiled, but something in her chest tugged, a thread, loose and almost imperceptible. She didn't say anything else that night. Upstairs, Lily slept curled around her favorite stuffed rabbit, the moon on her ceiling glowing faintly. The house was still, holding the rhythm of a family in perfect sync. The snow outside thickened. Everything was as it should be. At least that's what they thought. It started with crackers. Lily winced slightly as she bit into one during lunch. Carla noticed the hesitation but said nothing at first. Maybe it was a crumb poking her gum, or maybe she'd just bitten the corner of her cheek by accident. Kids were clumsy eaters all the time, but then it happened again at dinner. They were having roasted chicken with baked potatoes and a side of steamed carrots, Lily's usual favorite, but she picked at her plate that night, avoiding the vegetables altogether and chewing very slowly on one side of her mouth. You're awfully quiet, Carla said, wiping her hands on a napkin. Lily shrugged, her eyes dropping to her plate. It just hurts a little when I chew. Mark glanced up from his phone. Hurts where, bug? She pointed to her right cheek, just beneath the cheekbone. Carla leaned over, tilted Lily's chin gently, and looked inside her mouth. Open wide, Lily obeyed, and Carla scanned her gums, the back molars, the soft tissue lining her cheek. Everything looks normal, she said, sitting back. Probably just an irritated spot from chewing. It'll go away in a day or two. Maybe she's getting another molar, Mark offered. She's 9, Carla replied. She's already gotten her molars. Then maybe she just wants an excuse to avoid carrots, he said with a wink. Lily smiled faintly but didn't laugh. That was unusual. Later that night, Carla stood at the bathroom door while Lily brushed her teeth. She was slower than usual, deliberate with the brush on one side of her mouth. When Carla handed her a towel, Lily pressed it gently against her cheek before drying off. You feeling okay, sweetie? Yeah, Lily said. It just feels like there's something in there, like a bubble. Carla crouched down, her face level with Lily's. Does it hurt all the time or just when you eat? Mostly when I chew. Okay, Carla said softly. Let's keep an eye on it. We'll go to the dentist if it's still bothering you by the weekend, all right? Lily nodded, but her eyes lingered on the mirror for a moment longer than usual. The weekend came, and the ache didn't go away. By Sunday, Carla noticed that Lily was favoring her left side even when drinking water. The girl had stopped eating crunchy foods entirely. She pushed away toast at breakfast, scraped off crusts, and even asked to skip apples altogether. At one point, while folding laundry, Carla paused and replayed a thought that had been tugging at her quietly. Lily's smile. It had looked just a little off lately, not enough to call attention to itself, but enough to make Carla scroll back through her camera roll, looking at the most recent photos. And there it was, in Debrar, a subtle tilt, a gentle pull on the right side of Lily's mouth. A shift she hadn't noticed in the moment. It still looked like her daughter's smile, sweet and full of mischief. But now Carla couldn't unsee it. That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Carla sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open and half a glass of wine going warm. She Googled, and cheek pain in children. And child avoids chewing one side, uneven smile child causes, mild swelling under cheekbone. Most results pointed to harmless issues, dental abscess, sinus infections, minor inflammation. But there was one article buried beneath the others with a bolded term, facial asymmetry in children, followed by a word she didn't recognize and didn't try to pronounce. She closed the tab quickly, like shutting it would keep the thought out of her house. In the living room, Mark was watching a rerun of a football game. Carla walked over, standing behind the couch. Do you think we should take her to the dentist tomorrow? Mark muted the TV. For the cheek thing? Yeah, it's been almost a week. He gave a thoughtful nod. I mean, sure, but they'll probably just say it's nothing. I know, she said. But what if it isn't? He turned around to look at her. Carla, she's eating, she's talking, she's not in serious pain. You're overthinking it. She didn't reply, just leaned against the back of the couch, eyes on the darkened TV screen. What if I'm not? She said finally. Mark reached up and squeezed her hand. Then we'll deal with it. But we've got to let the process play out. You know how insurance is. No one's going to approve imaging for a minor ache. Carla pulled her hand back gently. It doesn't feel minor, he sighed. Let's call Dr. Jameson tomorrow. Schedule something, just to be sure. Okay. That night, Lily had trouble falling asleep. She kept turning over, pressing her palm to her cheek, breathing through her mouth. When Carla came in to check on her, the girl whispered, "Mom, it feels like it's pushing." Pushing? From the inside, a chill moved down Carla's arms. She brushed Lily's hair back and kissed her forehead. "We'll go see the dentist tomorrow, I promise." Lily nodded, but didn't look reassured. After Carla turned off the light and walked back down the hallway, she paused outside the bedroom door, listening. In the quiet, she heard Lily shift again, the springs creaking softly under her small frame. Carla didn't know it yet, but that sound, that almost silent movement, would be one of the last nights she'd sleep without fear. Dr. Jameson had the kind of smile that made parents feel at ease. It was warm, practiced, and perfectly framed beneath his salt and pepper mustache. His office smelled faintly of bubblegum fluoride and the ever-present undertone of latex gloves. The waiting room was filled with muted cartoons, playing on a mounted screen, and plastic jungle animals sat in a basket beneath a poster that read, "Smiles start here." Carla sat with Lily in the corner, filling out paperwork. Mark had come too, taking a half day from work. He was scrolling through emails on his phone but looked up every so often to glance at Lily, who was tracing circles on the armrest of her chair. "You nervous?" Carla asked, nudging Lily gently. "A little. It's just a quick check. Probably nothing." Lily nodded, though she didn't look convinced. When they were called back, a hygienist with bright pink scrubs led them into a cheerful exam room decorated with ocean wallpaper. A smiling dolphin seemed to leap from behind the dental chair. Dr. Jameson entered a few minutes later, all charm and confidence. "Well, there's my favorite 9-year-old. Lily, you get taller every time I see you." Lily offered a shy smile, careful not to open her mouth too wide. "What seems to be bothering you today?" he asked, settling onto his stool. Carla explained, describing the ache in Lily's cheek, the sensitivity when chewing, and the slight change in her smile. Dr. Jameson listened, nodding, occasionally tapping something into the iPad beside him. "Paper." "All right," he said after a moment. "Let's take a look." He pulled on gloves and gently guided Lily's chin up. She opened her mouth, wincing slightly as he pressed on her right cheek. He murmured. "Burr. See anything?" Carla asked, leaning forward. Well, her gums look healthy. No signs of decay or obvious abscess. "There's a slight firmness in the soft tissue here," he said, pressing again. "Could be mild inflammation. Maybe she bit down too hard and bruised the muscle. Kids do that sometimes without realizing." "No signs of infection?" Mark asked. Dr. Jameson shook his head. "Nothing I can see that suggests anything serious. I'll prescribe a round of antibiotics, just in case there's an underlying infection. Let's see how she responds in the next 7 to 10 days. Carla frowned. "Should we get imaging? An X-ray?" "Well," Jameson said with a soft chuckle. "Technically, we could, but I don't see anything here that warrants it yet. Insurance won't approve it without a clearer clinical indication, and you'd be looking at out-of-pocket costs if you push for it early. I don't want to put you through that unless we really need to." "But what if—" Carla started, then stopped. She didn't want to sound like that parent. Jameson gave her a reassuring smile. "I understand your concern, believe me. I'm a parent too, but from what I see, this looks minor. Let's try antibiotics first. Give it a week. If the discomfort continues or worsens, we'll escalate." Carla nodded slowly. "Okay. Meanwhile," he said, turning to Lily with a wink, "ice cream is doctor-approved for sore cheeks, but just don't tell your dentist I said that." Lily laughed quietly, but her eyes didn't light up. After the appointment, they stood at the reception desk reviewing the prescription and the follow-up date. The receptionist printed out the billing summary. "Since this visit is covered by your dental plan, there's no copay today. But if you do decide to get imaging before the next visit, just be aware your plan doesn't fully cover panoramic scans. You'd be responsible for about 60%, depending on the provider." Carla looked at the number written beside the disclaimer, 740. Mark noticed too. He gave a small shake of the head, as if to say not yet. Back in the car, Lily buckled herself in slowly. Mark climbed into the driver's seat while Carla sat silently, rereading the paperwork. "Do you feel better now that we saw the doctor?" Carla asked. Lily shrugged. "He was nice." "Yeah," Carla said, distracted. "He's always been good with kids, but it still hurts." Carla turned. "It does? A little. Especially when I smile big." Carla reached over and gently brushed Lily's hair back. We'll try the medicine, okay? Let's see how it goes. Okay. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Snow flurries danced outside the windows, swirling across the windshield like scattered ash. Mark reached for the radio, turned on a soft jazz station. He's probably right, he said finally. No need to panic over something that's not even visible. Carla looked out the window. The edges of her reflection stared back at her in the glass. Probably, that night she watched Lily brush her teeth in the bathroom mirror. The girl was careful again, moving slowly, spitting out toothpaste like it stung. Carla's chest tightened. Downstairs, after Lily had gone to bed, Carla pulled out her laptop again. She opened the browser, typed in more specific phrases, in no swelling, no infection, cheek pain in child. In child says it feels like something is pushing from inside. Early signs of soft tissue tumors, in face. The results were more obscure this time. A few articles from medical journals, a discussion board for rare pediatric diseases, and one Reddit post from a desperate parent. Carla clicked through each of them, reading, rereading, questioning her own instincts. She didn't have a medical degree. She didn't even like hospitals, but something in her gut was starting to scream, even if no one else could hear it. Mark came into the kitchen, yawning. Still up? Carla closed the lid slowly. Yeah, just reading. She'll be fine, he said, wrapping an arm around her. Kids get weird aches. You remember Ben thought his shoulder was broken because he carried his backpack on one side for too long? Carla nodded but didn't laugh. She said it hurts when she smiles, she whispered. Mark paused. Let's give it a few days. Just a few. Carla nodded again, though her fingers were still curled around the laptop, like she wasn't ready to let go. Upstairs, Lily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Her little stuffed rabbit was tucked under one arm, the other hand pressed gently to her cheek. Something was still there, waiting. 3 days into the antibiotics, nothing had changed. Lily still pressed her hand to her cheek when she chewed. She still avoided the crunchy parts of her food, cut toast into small, soft pieces, and left half of her apples untouched. Her face, to anyone else, might have looked the same, but not to Carla. She noticed it when Lily laughed. That Thursday evening they were watching a Christmas cartoon, one they'd seen a dozen times before, the kind of slapstick silliness that always got Lily giggling. And when she did laugh, there it was, a tug. A lift on one side of her mouth but not the other. Carla paused the video. Lily blinked. Why'd you stop it? Just needed a second, Carla said. Her voice was light but her eyes were searching. She looked closely, trying not to make it obvious. There it was again. A faint pull, almost imperceptible unless you knew what to look for. Lily tilted her head. Is something on my face? No, baby. You're perfect, Carla said softly. I was just thinking about how much you've grown. Lily smiled, and Carla felt her chest tighten. Later that night, after Lily was asleep, Carla sat on the living room couch with her phone, scrolling through photos. It wasn't an intentional search at first, just that kind of mindless flicking parents do when they can't sleep. But her finger froze when she reached a picture taken just a few weeks ago. Lily standing in the kitchen, holding a tray of cookies with flour on her nose. She zoomed in. It was there too. Barely noticeable, just the subtlest asymmetry in her grin. At the time, Carla hadn't thought anything of it. Maybe Lily was mid-smirk, maybe it was just a weird angle. But now, it felt like a clue she had overlooked. A signal. She pulled up a photo from 2 months earlier, from Lily's birthday party. Big smile, full cheeks, perfect symmetry. The difference was slight. But it was there. Carla felt it like a drop of cold water on the back of her neck. She clicked off the phone and sat still for a long time. The next day, she watched Lily eat breakfast in silence. The girl was quieter than usual, stirring her oatmeal more than eating it. Does it still hurt, sweetheart? Carla asked gently. Lily hesitated. A little, not as much, but it feels weird, like my face is tired. Carla nodded. Does it feel swollen? Maybe. On the inside. Carla reached out and touched Lily's cheek. The skin was warm but not hot, a little firm, but that could be muscle. Couldn't it? Mark came downstairs, adjusting his tie. Morning, ladies. Someone forgot to set the coffee last night. That someone was you, Carla said absently. Mark leaned down and kissed Lily on the head. How's the battle with the evil oatmeal going? Lily gave him a small smile, the kind that barely reached her eyes. She's still sore, Carla said. It's probably just slow to clear up. Didn't the doc say give it a full week? He did, Carla replied, but I think we need to go back. Or somewhere else. Mark raised an eyebrow. You want to get another opinion? I want to get imaging, she said, her tone firmer than she meant. Mark exhaled. That's going to be out of pocket. You saw the estimate. I don't care. He studied her face. You really think something's wrong? Carla nodded. I don't think, I know. They stared at each other across the kitchen for a moment. No raised voices, no accusations, just the quiet tension of two parents standing on the edge of something neither wanted to name. I'll call the pediatrician, Carla said, not the dentist. A real scan this time. Mark hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay. That afternoon, while Lily was at school, Carla called their insurance provider. It was a maze of automated prompts, long hold times, and robotic voices repeating policies she already knew. To authorize an MRI for minor non-specific facial discomfort, a referral was required from a primary care physician, followed by a case review. Approval could take 7 to 10 business days. Expedited review was only available in cases deemed medically urgent by the physician. Carla stared at the notepad in front of her, where she had scribbled notes through the call. Cheek pain not sufficient for approval unless connected to trauma or swelling visible to naked eye. Visible to the naked eye. What if you had to feel it to know? She closed the notebook and dialed her pediatrician's office next. Hi, this is Carla Caldwell, she said. My daughter Lily is 9, and we need to schedule an appointment. Soon. The receptionist asked a series of questions. Symptoms, history, prior treatment. When she hesitated on change in facial symmetry, the woman on the line said, Oh, okay, that's important. We can see her Friday at 10:15. Carla circled it on the calendar. That night, Lily came home from school tired. She didn't complain, but she was quiet. After dinner, she sat by the window, sketching in her notebook with a dull pencil. Carla watched from the hallway. The picture Lily was drawing showed a rabbit, its eyes too big for its head, one ear flopping, the other torn. The kind of thing that made your stomach ache, though it wasn't exactly sad. You okay, love? Carla asked. Yeah, Lily said, not looking up. Drawing something new? She's been through a lot, Lily said quietly, nodding toward the rabbit. Carla didn't reply, just walked over and kissed her daughter on the crown of her head. In the kitchen, she opened her laptop again, and this time, when the results came up, she didn't click away. The pediatrician's office was quieter than Carla remembered. Maybe it was the time of day, mid-morning on a Friday, when most parents were at work and kids were at school. Maybe it was just the way her ears were starting to tune out the world, listening instead for things that no one else could hear. Lily sat beside her in the waiting room, swinging her feet over the edge of the chair. She had brought her sketch pad. Again. Today's drawing was of a fox wearing a winter coat, walking through a snowy forest. It was beautiful. Strange. A little lonely. Carla watched her daughter's mouth as she chewed a piece of gum. Only the left side moved. They were called in at 10:23. Dr. Ramirez was new, a woman in her early 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense energy that Carla appreciated immediately. She reviewed the notes from Dr. Jameson, while Lily sat patiently on the exam table. So, Dr. Ramirez said, You've been having pain on the right side of your face? Lily nodded. It feels like something's pushing from the inside. Ramirez glanced up. Pushing? Like a balloon, maybe, Lily said. But not the fun kind. Carla exhaled slowly. Finally, someone listening, Dr. Ramirez examined Lily carefully, pressing on her cheek, her jawline, her neck. She made notes, asked questions, and didn't smile until she was finished. There's definitely some firmness here, she said, pointing gently below Lily's cheekbone. It's subtle, but it's there. Any vision changes? No, Lily said. Headaches? No. Ramirez turned to Carla. I'd like to order an ultrasound of the soft tissue. It's quick and non-invasive. If it shows anything unusual, we can move to more detailed imaging. How long will that take? Carla asked. Depends on the imaging center. A few days, maybe more. We'll have to get pre-authorization from your insurance first. Carla's stomach dropped. How much more if we skip that step? Ramirez hesitated, then said quietly, If you self-pay, you can probably get it done this afternoon. Mark, who had taken another half day to be there, stepped forward. How much are we talking? Between $300 and $600 for ultrasound, Ramirez said. If we need a CT after that, it goes up. A lot. Mark looked at Carla. She didn't need to say anything. Her eyes said it all. "We'll pay," he said. By 2:15 they were sitting in a different waiting room, this one colder, more sterile, filled with the soft hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional echo of a name being called. The ultrasound tech, a middle-aged man with a shaved head and soft voice, led them into the small, dim room. Lily climbed onto the table, and Carla sat beside her, holding her hand. The tech applied gel to Lily's cheek and began to move the probe slowly across her face. The screen showed a series of shifting, ghost-like images, shades of gray and white, lines and shadows Carla couldn't decipher. She wasn't supposed to, but she watched anyway, trying to read his face instead. At first he was calm, chatty. He asked Lily what grade she was in, what her favorite subject was. Lily said she liked art and music. He told her his daughter played the flute, but then he stopped talking. He slowed down. His eyes narrowed slightly as he tilted the probe, angled it, pressed deeper. Carla felt Lily's hand tighten around hers. "Is it supposed to take this long?" she asked quietly. The tech didn't answer right away. "I'm just being thorough," he said, smiling briefly. "Sometimes kids wiggle more than they realize." Lily hadn't moved at all. When he finally finished, he wiped the gel from Lily's face and stood. "We'll send the results to your doctor this afternoon. They'll follow up with you directly." Carla stood too. "Can you tell me anything?" "I'm not allowed to interpret scans," he said gently. "I'm just the eyes." The doctor gives the voice, but something in his expression lingered, an awkwardness, a flash of sympathy he hadn't meant to show. It was like someone trying not to wince when you show them a wound. Back in the car, Carla sat in the front seat, staring out the windshield. Mark was silent beside her. Lily was in the back, humming softly to herself, flipping through her sketchbook. Carla's phone buzzed. Unknown caller. She answered on the first ring. "Mrs. Caldwell, it was Dr. Ramirez. I just got the report," she said, her voice careful, deliberate. The ultrasound showed a mass within the soft tissue of Lily's right cheek. "It's not definitive, but it's enough to warrant further investigation." Carla gripped the phone tighter. "What kind of mass?" "We don't know yet. It could be benign, but it's occupying space, and that could explain the facial asymmetry and discomfort. What do we do now?" "I'm ordering a CT scan with contrast. That will give us more detail. And how long until we can do that?" "With insurance approval, we're looking at 7 to 10 business days." "No," Carla said instantly. "No, that's not acceptable. I understand." "Can I pay out of pocket?" "You can. I'll call ahead to a private imaging center I trust. They might be able to get you in tomorrow." Carla closed her eyes. "Do it." After she hung up, Mark spoke for the first time since they'd left the imaging center. "What did she say?" Carla didn't answer right away. She turned around, looked at Lily in the back seat, still flipping pages, still humming, still smiling slightly, though now that smile felt like something borrowed from a time that was slipping away. "There's something inside her cheek," Carla said finally, "and we're not waiting anymore." The CT scan took less than an hour, but the waiting afterward unraveled time. The diagnostic center was quiet, cold, clinical. Lily wore a pale blue gown that made her skin look even paler. Carla sat beside her as the tech inserted an IV line for the contrast dye. Lily didn't flinch. She stared straight ahead at a ceiling poster of cartoon hot air balloons, the kind designed to distract children from fear. Mark stood in the corner of the room, arms folded tightly across his chest, silent but visibly tense. "Ready, Lily?" the technician asked kindly. She nodded. "Okay, we're going to slide you in. It's just a big donut. Stay very still, all right?" The machine hummed to life. As it rotated, Carla watched her daughter disappear inch by inch into the scanner's hollow mouth. Her small body looked so fragile under the sterile light, so still, so obedient. Afterward, they were told the results would be available in 24 to 48 hours. The technician offered a neutral smile but avoided eye contact. Another silent alarm Carla couldn't ignore. They drove home in silence. Lily asked if they could stop for pancakes. Mark pulled into a diner on Main Street without hesitation. They sat in a booth near the window, the three of them. Lily ordered chocolate chip pancakes with whipped cream and ate exactly half. Then she colored quietly on the back of a placemat, while her parents pretended to sip coffee. The call came 2 days later. Carla was folding laundry when her phone buzzed. She picked it up with one hand, her other still clutching a pair of Lily's pajamas. Mrs. Caldwell? It was Dr. Ramirez again. Her tone was careful, too careful. Yes? I'd like you and your husband to come in. We have the scan results, and I think it's best if we discuss them in person. Carla's stomach dropped. Can't you just tell me over the phone? I'd rather not. Please come in as soon as you're able. Mark got home from work early. Neither of them spoke much on the drive. Lily stayed with a neighbor. She had no idea what was coming. In the office, they were led into a private consultation room. A box of tissues already sat on the table. Carla noticed it immediately. So did Mark. Dr. Ramirez entered holding a tablet. Her expression was calm, composed, but her eyes betrayed a heaviness. She sat down and placed the tablet face down. No images, no diagrams. Just words. There is a mass, she began, located deep in the soft tissue of Lily's right cheek. It's about 3 centimeters, pressing into the surrounding muscle. Carla's breath caught. Mark's jaw tensed. Is it cancer? Ramirez paused. We don't know for certain yet, but it has irregular borders, and there's evidence of vascular activity. Carla didn't understand all the words, but the shape of them made her want to scream. We need to schedule a biopsy, Ramirez continued, a tissue sample. It's the only way to determine exactly what we're dealing with. How soon can we do it? Carla asked. I've already put in the order. The hospital will call with the time. I stressed the urgency. Carla nodded, but her mind was already spiraling. She couldn't picture Lily on an operating table. She couldn't picture anesthesia, or scalpels, or post-op care. She didn't want to. She's just 9, Carla whispered. I know. 3 days later, Lily was lying in a hospital bed with a blue cap over her hair, gripping her stuffed rabbit in both hands. Carla kissed her forehead a dozen times before the nurses rolled her away. Mark stood like stone beside her, barely breathing. The procedure was short, less than an hour. The surgeon came out afterward and said the tissue had been collected without complication. They could go home later that evening, but then came the real wait. 3 more days, 96 hours that felt like drifting in orbit, detached from gravity, from time, from air. Then the phone rang. Carla picked it up on the first ring. Mark was sitting beside her, watching her face instead of listening to the words. She barely remembered how the conversation started, just the moment it turned. There's no easy way to say this, the voice said, but the results confirm rhabdomyosarcoma. Carla felt her mouth move, but no sound came out. I'm so sorry. She closed her eyes, pressed her hand to her forehead. Mark was staring at her, waiting. What is it? He asked. Carla's voice cracked as she whispered, It's cancer. The rest was a blur. Explanations about oncologists, staging, treatment plans, surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, words that collapsed into one another like a wall of bricks tumbling down. When she hung up, the room was silent. Mark stood, walked to the other side, then sat again. He ran his hands through his hair, then over his face. Carla just stared forward, unblinking. It was a moment where everything split in two. The world before that phone call, and everything that would come after. Lily came into the room a few minutes later, clutching her rabbit. Can I have cereal? Carla nodded, standing up too quickly. Of course, baby. She poured the milk with shaking hands. Lily sat at the counter, legs swinging, unaware that her parents' hearts were breaking quietly behind her. Later that night, as Carla lay in bed, she kept repeating the word in her head, rhabdomyosarcoma. She hated it. Hated how it sounded clinical and sharp. Hated that it had entered her child's life like a thief in the dark. Hated that it hadn't even knocked. It had just appeared. Beside her, Mark whispered, We'll fight it. She didn't answer. Because deep down, something inside her already knew. This would be the fight of their lives. The pediatric oncology ward smelled like bleach and quiet grief. It was the kind of place that tried its best to look cheerful. Bright murals of animals on the walls, cheerful mobiles hanging from the ceilings, but couldn't hide what it really was. A battlefield. Lily was assigned to room 4B. The window looked out over a small courtyard, with a single tree that had already lost its leaves. A snowman, half melted and leaning to one side, stood guard near the bench. Lily named him General Frost. Carla smiled when she heard that. It was so Lily to give even the coldest things a soul. The first meeting with the oncology team blurred in Carla's mind. There were too many faces, too many titles, too many words she couldn't pronounce. But one name stuck, Dr. Reena Patel, the lead oncologist. She was calm, matter of fact, and never made false promises. She used words like aggressive, multi-phase treatment, possible surgery, prolonged chemotherapy, facial disfigurement. Carla heard them all but only truly absorbed one. We're going to fight. That word, fight, became their anchor. The next few days passed in a haze of consent forms, blood tests, scans, and preparations. Lily had a port implanted under her collarbone to receive the chemotherapy. She was brave through it all, even as the nurses shaved a small patch of her hair to secure the port site. It looks like a moon crater, Lily joked, touching it. I'm basically an astronaut now. Mark had to step out of the room after that. Carla knew why. The first round of chemo hit hard. Nausea, fatigue, mouth sores, and a strange kind of hollowness settled into Lily's face. Her round cheeks lost their glow. Her eyes darkened with something beyond exhaustion, something too wise for her age. She never complained, not really, but sometimes in the middle of the night, Carla would wake to find Lily sitting upright in bed, clutching her stuffed rabbit, whispering to it like a secret friend. Carla began brushing her daughter's hair every evening, a ritual they both came to depend on. She used a soft bristle brush, moving gently, slowly, as if she could delay the inevitable just by being careful. One night, as the brush moved through Lily's hair, Carla felt a sudden resistance, a strand, then another, and another. She froze. Lily looked up. Is it starting? Carla didn't answer at first. She held the strands in her hand like something sacred. I think so, she whispered. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she said, will you still brush it, even when it's all gone? Carla's heart cracked clean down the middle. Every night, she promised. Even if it's just your dreams I'm brushing. Lily nodded and leaned her head back again. Carla resumed the brushing, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. To make the hospital room feel more like home, they taped Lily's drawings on the walls. Friends from school sent cards and little gifts, stickers, hair clips, comic books. Her teacher mailed a box of letters from classmates, each decorated with crayons and glitter, some spelling her name wrong but full of love all the same. Lily called it the magic wall. Each one's a little spell, she said, pointing to a crayon drawing of a dancing bunny. It keeps the bad stuff away. One morning, a nurse came in to change Lily's for, and found her trying to tape a new card onto the very top corner of the wall. The nurse helped her reach it, then said, You've got a whole fan club here. Lily grinned. They're my army, another nurse smiled as she flushed the port. Then I guess that makes you the general, Lily pointed out the window. Nope, that's General Frost. I'm the magician. Every smile was precious now. Not because they were rare, Lily still found reasons to laugh, but because each one was borrowed against pain. Carla started keeping a journal. Not online, not typed, just a plain leather notebook she carried everywhere. She wrote down Lily's jokes, strange observations, the foods she suddenly liked, grape jelly on crackers, and the questions she asked when she was too tired to hold a pencil. Do rabbits have dreams? Can you feel love when you're asleep? If hair falls out, does it grow back softer or stronger? What if the medicine is magic but only works if you believe? Carla wrote everything. Not to remember, but to hold on, to keep the pieces of Lily safe, just in case time tried to take too many. Mark was quieter than usual. He came to every appointment, held Lily's hand during every infusion, but sometimes Carla would catch him standing in the hallway alone, staring at the vending machines without actually choosing anything. He was fighting too. Just differently. One afternoon, after Lily had fallen asleep mid-sentence while drawing, Carla found Mark sitting at the foot of the bed, looking at the port scar. I hate this, he said softly. I know. She's so small. Carla reached out, took his hand. She's stronger than both of us. He didn't answer, but he squeezed her fingers like he agreed. That night, Carla brushed Lily's hair again. This time more strands came loose, enough to fill her palm. She didn't cry. Not in front of Lily. When she got up to throw them away, Lily said, Don't. Carla turned. Don't what? Don't throw them away yet. Why not? Lily looked up at her with the faintest smile. They're still mine. Carla sat back down, cupping the hair gently like something delicate. You're right, she said. They are. 3 months into treatment, the scans showed progress. The words came softly from Dr. Patel, but they landed like fireworks in Carla's chest. The tumor is shrinking. The margins are smaller. It's responding. Carla blinked at the images on the screen, barely understanding them, but clinging to the tone of the doctor's voice. For the first time in weeks, it didn't carry that quiet gravity. There was something lighter in it, a glimmer. Mark sat beside her, jaw slack, eyes wide. So it's working? It's still early, Dr. Patel cautioned. But yes, this is a very good sign. Carla felt her body slump against the chair, as if she'd been holding her breath for months without realizing it. When they told Lily, she smiled, not her usual lopsided grin, but a real one, bright and wide, stretching across her face like sunlight cracking through gray clouds. "Does that mean the magic wall is working?" she asked. "It means the magic is very real," Carla said, brushing a strand of hair, now thinning, behind her ear. That weekend, Carla brought in cupcakes from Lily's favorite bakery downtown, chocolate with purple frosting and tiny edible stars. They set up a little celebration in her hospital room, balloons taped to the IV pole, a banner drawn by Ben and mailed in from school, and a laminated "You did it" card from Lily's teacher. The nurses joined in, clapping and singing off-key. One of the pediatric aides brought in glittery nail polish and painted Lily's fingers sparkly blue. "You look like a space princess," Mark whispered. Lily grinned. "The galaxy bows to me." For the first time in a long time, Carla allowed herself to believe. She let the thoughts form in her mind. School dances, high school graduation, road trips, college dorms. They were blurry, distant, but there, possible. She caught Mark looking at her that evening. They didn't say anything. They just held eyes across the hospital room and smiled. Not big, not foolish, just enough to mean maybe. Lily slept peacefully that night, arms wrapped around her rabbit, a smear of frosting still on her cheek. Then came the tear. It started as a single, inexplicable drop from Lily's right eye one morning as she brushed her teeth. Carla thought it was just dryness or irritation. The hospital air was cold, the soap too harsh. But the next day, it happened again. Then again during breakfast. Lily wasn't crying, but the tear kept coming. Dr. Patel ordered another scan. Carla's stomach knotted the moment the nurse said the word imaging. Mark paced in the hallway during the procedure, while Carla sat in the waiting area, arms crossed tight against her chest, trying not to shake. Later that afternoon, Dr. Patel asked to speak with them privately. Carla knew that tone. She'd heard it before, the gentle formality, the kindness that only came before pain. "The cancer has spread," she said. Carla's ears rang. "To where?" Mark asked. Dr. Patel took a breath. "To the orbit." Behind her right eye, Carla felt the room sway. She gripped the edge of the chair. "We caught it early," the doctor continued. "That's the only good news. It's pressing on the tear duct, which explains the symptoms. But its location, it complicates things." "What does that mean?" Carla whispered. "We can try surgery to remove part of it, but we won't be able to get all of it. Not without compromising the eye itself." Silence. "And if you don't operate?" Mark asked. "Then we're looking at palliative radiation, slowing it down, managing symptoms." The word palliative hit Carla like a stone in the chest. She had read it before, in those late-night forums she never told anyone about. It meant we're no longer trying to save her. It meant we're trying to keep her comfortable. "She's doing better," Carla said. "You said the tumor was shrinking." "It was," Dr. Patel said gently. "But rhabdomyosarcoma can be unpredictable. It responds, then adapts. Sometimes it learns faster than we can fight." That night, Carla sat by Lily's bed, stroking her hand. The machines beeped steadily. Lily was reading a comic book, her eye red and watery. "Mom?" Carla blinked. "Yeah, baby?" "Why is my eye crying without me?" Carla smiled sadly. "It's just being silly." Lily nodded. "Tell it to stop. I will." The laughter from their cupcake celebration already felt like a memory from another life. Carla remembered the purple frosting, the songs, the sparkle, and now it all felt like an illusion, a perfect mirage right before the floor gave out again. She watched Lily sleep that night, her small chest rising and falling, her mouth slightly open. The rabbit was still there, tucked under one arm. The magic wall of drawings still glowed in the dim light. But Carla didn't believe in magic anymore. Not tonight. There was no good answer. No matter how Dr. Patel phrased it, no matter how many diagrams she drew or percentages she listed, the truth hung there, naked and brutal. "If we remove the tumor surgically," she said, "we risk damaging the optic nerve, and due to the tumor's position, that could mean removing the eye entirely." Carla sat frozen, her fingers dug so tightly into the armrest of her chair that her knuckles went white. "Is there any way to save the eye and remove the tumor?" Mark asked. Dr. Patel shook her head gently. Not completely. Not without compromising the entire orbital structure. And even then, there's a high risk of regrowth. Carla's voice cracked. So those are the only options? Take her eye, or let the tumor grow. She's strong, Dr. Patel said. But we are losing time. Mark nodded. How long if we don't do the surgery? We can't predict with certainty. It could be months, it could be weeks, but the spread will continue. A silence fell, the kind that fills the air like fog, thick and choking. Carla didn't remember walking out of the office. She only remembered being in the hospital parking lot, leaning against the passenger door, unable to breathe. Mark stood a few feet away, staring at nothing. She's 9, Carla said, her voice barely above a whisper. She draws pictures of rabbits. She still believes in magic. I know. We can't take her face away. Mark turned to her slowly. We can't take her life either. That sentence landed like a knife. They sat in the car for what felt like hours. The sky outside turned gray. A few flakes of snow began to fall, dusting the windshield like ash. I dreamed last night, Carla said suddenly, that she was dancing, spinning in circles. She had both eyes. She was smiling. Mark closed his eyes. She's already lost so much, Carla said. Her hair, her childhood, her normal. She's still here, Mark said. And if we want her to stay here, we have to do this. Carla shook her head, tears streaming now. But what kind of life will she have after that? Kids are cruel. Strangers stare. You know they do. She won't be alone. She'll be changed. Mark looked at her, his voice soft but steady. She's already changed. That broke something in her. Carla turned toward the window, pressing her fist to her mouth to stop the sob that threatened to rise. But it came anyway. Raw, shaking from somewhere deep. The kind of sob that empties the soul. Mark reached for her. They didn't speak. They just held each other in that parked car while the snow kept falling. And for the first time since this all began, they allowed themselves to fall apart. Together. Later that night, back in Lily's room, Carla sat beside her daughter as she drew quietly. This time it was a girl in a superhero cape, standing on top of a mountain, a single eye drawn like a glowing star. Carla swallowed hard. What's she called? She asked. Lily didn't look up. Captain Braveface, Carla smiled through her tears. Can I tell you something? Lily said, still coloring. Anything. If they have to take my eye, it's okay. Carla froze. I'll just draw another one, Lily added. Right where people can see it. Bigger than before. Carla's throat tightened. Who told you? No one. I just know stuff. Carla brushed the back of Lily's hand. I'm scared, she whispered. Lily looked up, and for a moment, the little girl disappeared. In her place was something more, an old soul, carrying more wisdom than her years allowed. Me too, she said, but it's okay to be scared. That's how you know it's important. Carla nodded, overcome. The next morning, they signed the surgical consent forms. The waiting room outside the surgical wing was too clean, too still. Carla sat in the corner, elbows on knees, hands clasped in silent prayer. Not the kind of prayer with words or saints, just that desperate, trembling hope only a mother can hold. Mark paced slowly near the coffee machine. Neither of them had touched the cups they'd poured 2 hours ago. The liquid was cold now, forgotten. The hours passed in a haze. Updates came in fragments. She's doing well under anesthesia. They've started the excision. We're approaching the orbit now. Each sentence was a thread, thin, fragile, and Carla held on as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. When Dr. Patel finally entered the room, her surgical cap still on, Carla stood before she could speak. It went well, the doctor began. We were able to remove the majority of the tumor. Carla exhaled. But, Mark's shoulders stiffened. We had to proceed with enucleation, she said gently. There was no way to spare the eye without risking further spread. Silence. Carla nodded slowly, as if understanding a language she had never studied. She's safe, Dr. Patel added. She's resting. You can see her in recovery soon. Carla said nothing. She simply sat back down, placed her hand over her heart, and whispered a thank you to whatever force had spared her daughter's life, even at a cost too great to name. Lily woke slowly. The world around her was soft and white. Machines beeped steadily. A warm blanket covered her, and her hand, tiny and pale, rested in Carla's. Mom? Carla leaned in. I'm here. Lily's voice was hoarse. It's quiet. Carla nodded. "You're okay." There was gauze wrapped around the right side of her face, hiding what had been taken. She didn't ask about it, yet. The days that followed blurred into careful checkups, soft meals, whispered conversations. Nurses came and went like ghosts, always gentle, always half-smiling. Lily didn't speak much. On the third morning, she surprised them. "I want to see," she said quietly. Carla paused. "Sweetheart, I want to see myself," Lily repeated, her voice calm. Carla looked at Mark. He didn't say anything, just nodded slowly. They waited until the nurses finished their rounds. Then Carla reached into her bag and pulled out a small compact mirror, not the one with bright lights or perfect angles, just a simple round one she used to carry in her purse before hospitals replaced handbags and hope. She sat on the edge of Lily's bed. "Are you sure?" she asked. Lily nodded. Carla opened the mirror and handed it to her daughter, holding her breath as Lily slowly lifted it toward her face. She stared for a long time, her left eye large and alert, her right side wrapped in gauze and tape, just the hint of bruising peeking from beneath the edge, a face no longer symmetrical, a face interrupted, and yet, still hers. She reached up with her free hand and traced the edge of the bandage, gently, as if testing whether the skin beneath was real. Then, without flinching, Lily smiled, a small, soft smile, the kind that blooms not from joy but from understanding. "It's okay," she whispered. Carla blinked. "You don't have to pretend." "I'm not," Lily said. "Maybe the world just wanted to see me from a different angle." Carla's breath caught. Tears rose unbidden, not from pain, not even from grief, but from something deeper, something holy. "You're the bravest person I've ever known," Carla said. Lily looked at her mother with that one clear, shining eye. "It's still me, Mom." Carla nodded, unable to speak. Mark stood quietly by the door, watching. For the first time since the surgery, he allowed himself to smile, not because things were perfect, but because they were real, and real, in that moment, was enough. That night, Carla wrote in her journal, she held the mirror like it was a window, not to the past, but to a new future. A crooked future maybe, but one with light. "I watched my daughter find her reflection, and instead of mourning it, she welcomed it. I think she saved us both today." And she had. The snow melted slowly that year. By late March, the hospital courtyard had begun to bloom again, modest bursts of color pushing through tired soil. Tulips first, then daffodils. The tree outside Lily's window, once skeletal and bare, wore a soft blush of pink. Carla watched the blossoms return with a quiet ache in her chest. She had loved spring once. Now it felt like something slipping through her fingers, warm, beautiful, but leaving too quickly. Lily's recovery from surgery had gone as expected. She adapted to the bandage, then the prosthetic shell they fitted weeks later. She joked about being a half-cyborg, showed off the polished surface to her nurses like a badge of honor. But beneath the laughter, something shifted. Her energy dipped. She slept more. Her appetite faded. And though she never said the words, Carla could see it. The heaviness in her steps, the new stillness in her silences. "She's tired," Dr. Patel said gently, after another checkup. "Her body's been through so much." Carla nodded, but she already knew. One morning in early April, the sun broke through the gray in a way it hadn't in weeks. Warm, soft, golden. Lily was curled under a blanket by the window, her sketchpad in her lap, doodling quietly. Carla stood by the door. "Want to go outside today?" Lily looked up. "Really? I talked to the nurses. We can take the wheelchair, just for a little while." Lily smiled, a slow, sleepy kind of smile. "Then yes, please." Carla helped her dress, soft sweater, leggings, a knit cap that covered her thinning hair. Mark lifted her gently into the chair, and together they wheeled her down the hallway, through the double doors, and into the fresh spring air. The courtyard smelled like new grass and warm earth. A breeze moved through the tulips like a hush. Somewhere nearby, a bird sang like it had just remembered how. They found a quiet spot under the budding tree. Carla sat beside Lily on the bench, her hand resting on the armrest of the chair. Lily tilted her face toward the sky. "It smells like flowers," she said. Carla nodded after a long pause. Lily whispered, "Spring feels like a goodbye that smells like flowers." Carla turned. "What do you mean?" Lily didn't answer right away. Her eye remained on the sky. "I don't know, it just feels soft, like something's leaving, but it's not sad. Just slow. Carla felt her throat tighten. Are you hurting? Lily shook her head. Not now, just tired. They sat together in silence for a long time. Carla watched the sun draw patterns on her daughter's face, light and shadow playing across the delicate lines of her cheek, the gentle curve of her jaw, the space where the bandage had once been. She looked peaceful, almost ageless. Later that week, Lily developed a low fever that didn't go away, then bone pain, then stiffness in her right leg. The tests confirmed what Carla had feared before the results were even read. The cancer had returned. This time, it was in the bone. Dr. Patel's eyes were red when she delivered the news. We can try more chemotherapy, she said, but it won't stop it. It's palliative now. We focus on keeping her comfortable. Carla didn't cry. Not then. She just held Lily's chart in her lap, stared at the numbers she couldn't understand, and felt the air leave the room. Mark sat with his hand over his mouth, his shoulders trembling. It was over, not today. Not tomorrow. But they had turned the final corner. There would be no more saving, only staying, only softness. When they told Lily, she listened quietly. Then she nodded. So, she said, I get to go home? Carla blinked. You want to go home? I want my room, my books, my stars on the ceiling. Mark cleared his throat. Then we'll take you home. They did. Hospice care began the following week. A hospital bed was delivered to Lily's room, but she still asked to sleep in her own. She wanted the real pillows, the smell of her sheets, the stuffed rabbit that never left her side. Each day, Carla sat beside her, reading aloud old bedtime stories, ones Lily had long since memorized, and in the late afternoons, when the sunlight hit her wall just right, Lily would ask for the blinds to stay open. I like the way the light looks when it's almost gone, she said. It feels like the sky is hugging everything. One afternoon, as Carla brushed what remained of her daughter's hair, Lily looked up and whispered, Did you know some stars are already dead, but we still see their light? Carla swallowed hard. Yes. Lily smiled faintly. I think people are like that too. There are days Carla barely remembers, the in-between days, the quiet ones, the ones where the air felt too still, and time moved like honey through a broken hourglass. But there are other days she remembers with piercing clarity, like the morning she woke and thought she heard Lily's laugh in the hallway, only to realize it was the wind catching the chimes outside, or the afternoon she found a crayon sketch tucked behind Lily's nightstand, a girl with one eye, a cape, and a rabbit floating beside her. Underneath, in loopy purple marker it read, Captain Braveface and the Moon Bunny. Those memories didn't fade. They shimmered. They lived in the corners of the house, between the soft folds of Lily's old sweater, in the crease of every page of her journal. It was Mark who first said it aloud. We should do something. Something more. Carla didn't answer right away, but she looked at the sun streaming through Lily's bedroom window, the same sun that once made her daughter tilt her face upward and say, It feels like the sky is hugging everything, and she knew what needed to come next. And Lily's Light Foundation was born quietly, without headlines or ceremony. Just a single website, a soft blue logo, and a mission. Early detection and awareness for rare childhood soft tissue cancers. It started small. Carla and Mark spoke to pediatricians. They visited schools. They held workshops, quietly reminding parents and teachers alike, if something feels off, don't wait. A small change in a smile might be the only warning you get. They told Lily's story not with pity, but with purpose. A video was made, narrated gently, showing glimpses of drawings, hospital walls covered in letters, and a single photograph that Carla chose with great care. Lily, age 9, smiling, slightly crooked, unmistakably her, and in Carla's voice, quiet but unwavering. This is how it started. Not with pain, not with panic, just a smile, a little uneven, a sign we almost missed. The foundation grew faster than they expected. Families began writing in. Nurses shared the video during trainings. Pediatric clinics printed posters. One doctor from Ohio said, I noticed a child's asymmetric expression because of your daughter's story. That child is now in remission. Each message felt like a ripple, Lily's ripple, moving outward, quietly changing the tide. The 1-year anniversary came on a soft spring morning, the same kind of day Lily would have called buttery sunshine. Carla didn't want a funeral. She wanted a celebration, so they gathered in the hospital courtyard, beneath the tree that now stood full in bloom. Ben and a few classmates read poems. The nurses brought Lily's favorite cupcakes, chocolate with purple frosting. A string quartet played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, because Lily once said it made her feel like the world was swaying. And then Carla stepped forward, holding the photograph. The same one. The smile. She stood behind the small podium, heart pounding, voice steady. I was told once that stars can burn out and still shine for years across the sky, that their light doesn't vanish when they do. It keeps traveling, touching places they never lived to see. She held up the photo. This is my daughter, Lily. This was the beginning. What we almost ignored, what we chalked up to just a toothache. What a camera caught before we understood. Her voice tightened. She paused, then continued. I don't show this to scare you. I show it because sometimes the smallest change in a child's face is not cosmetic. It's not a phase. It's not nothing. She looked up, met their eyes. It could be the first sign of a war their body hasn't told you about yet. A hush fell across the crowd. Then she stepped back, and behind her, a large canvas was unveiled. Lily's final drawing, recreated in bright acrylics. Captain Braveface, one eye, cape flying. And beside her, the moon bunny, holding a flag that read, Still Here. That night, after everyone had gone, Carla and Mark remained. The stars came out slowly, one by one. The courtyard was quiet again. Carla looked up, remembering Lily's voice. Some stars are already gone, but we still see their light. She smiled softly. She was right, Mark said beside her. Carla didn't answer. She simply leaned into him, eyes fixed on the sky, and whispered, She still is.